and good morning. This is week 35, Daniel Weekly 35. Getting quite many now. It's a lovely morning here again. I'm trying a new angle on the camera. You can see my kids' rooms doors behind me. I wanted to start off by telling you that I am going to the GOTO conference in Copenhagen in October, and I'm going to talk about HTTP2 there. I don't have any more details about that yet. It'll reveal itself later on. I also wanted to mention on the H2 stuff that there's an interesting internet draft on how to do gzipped data frames for H2, really, which is interesting. There's a draft, there's a URL there somewhere, to basically then compress unconditionally over H2, which helps, like in the case, it could be a way, for example, to do compressed requests or whatever data compression you want in H2. For example, I know that I have a lot of users who want to use curl and they want to compress stuff when they upload things to a server, as in a post or in a put, but it's not possible in HTTP 1.1. So I think it's could work. I mean, to have it in a standardized way, then you could make tools do it. I haven't really thought about the details or the specifics of this suggestion, but in general, I like the idea. I'm not sure it works though. Otherwise, on the kind of more regular H2 stuff with curl, I squeezed I already had some docs about H2 in curl, and it was more hidden on the website and in the source tree, and I kind of grabbed it out. I reformatted it into I changed it anyway, and I put it in the docs section on the website, and it's a more prominent place now, and there's a link somewhere, and it really just describes how do you use H2 with the curl, and some thought about that, and libcurl too. So I just wanted to bring it into the light better, so people can actually find it and read about it. And I just today, half an hour ago or something, I blogged, I submitted or posted, or made it public at least, my blog entry about H2 push, server push in curl, really, and how it works and how you use it and so on, because it seems to work. Most of the stuff I also it's all in the blog post really, but there's a branch on GitHub too that you can get if you want to try it out. Basically, H2 server push means that if you get a resource from the server, I want to have file A, give it to me please, and then the server might decide, oh, if you ask for A, you probably want B as well, so it'll send you B, or offer to send you B, without you asking for it, without the client asking for it. So it's, oh, by the way, here's resource B as well, setting up a second or a new transfer without the client asking for it, server initiated. And now then, if you're using libcurl now, there's a callback you can set up that if the server offers a push resource, this callback gets called, and the callback can then decide what to do, to allow the transfer or to deny the transfer. And if it allows the transfer, it'll set up a new easy handle within the libcurl, and it'll just come flying. I've done some tests. I'm using that the excellent ngh2 test server called ngHPD. It's from the ngh2 project, and it is just perfect for this kind of stuff. So I can say that if you ask for this file, push these files as well. So it's a perfect test that, yeah, I ask for A, and the server suggests I want to have B and C as well. And it seems to work. Pretty cool actually. And it's basically a nice way to avoid round trips and to kind of beat latency, so we don't have to ask again for another resource. So get one resource, get a whole bunch of them that are related. Of course, this is new stuff. Protocol-wise, I mean, H2 has this, but it hasn't been around before. So we'll see a little bit how servers and everything will implement this and use this. So going forward, it'll be interesting. Now at least, or well, now I have this branch in GitHub now called HTTP to push, but I won't merge this into master until after this pending release. So I will release 7.43.0 in, what is it? 2 weeks. Yes, exactly 2 weeks. And then after that I can merge the push stuff. So the push won't be around until 7.44.0 anyway in a public release, which then will happen like 2 months after 2 weeks. So it'll be like mid-August until there's a released version with push support. Just that you know, if you want to play with push, you better get on the branch or master soon and play with it. This week I wanted to mention one interesting curl command line option. Of course, I did that random stuff. You know, I mentioned it the other week how I do the randoming. So I just send all the options in and get a random header out. And this week I wanted to mention the --connect-timeout option, which makes me then want to explain a little bit about timeouts in general in curl. In general, curl doesn't really time out things by itself. So basically you're always allowing curl to take whatever time it needs to fulfill what you're asking it to do. Like if you want to get something from a URL, like the simple case nhttp://URL, you're basically letting curl take whatever time it needs or whatever time the network needs to do this. So it could take a really long time if you're having a bad luck, or it could be fast if everything is fine and dandy and just swift operations. But sometimes you just want to, like in this option case, you just want to limit the time curl will spend on connecting to the site. Sometimes the site is just very, very hard or slow to connect to, and you say, I just want to spend maximum this amount of time to connect to it, and if it takes longer, then fail and get out of it. But if it connects and if it starts to transfer, you could accept a much longer time. So maybe you want to get a gigabyte file, but you only allow it 10 seconds to connect. But of course the transfer will take more than 10 seconds for most connections. So in the --connect-timeout option, you tell curl that you're only allowed to take this much time to connect to the server. And by the way, the time is then, it actually uses decimals too, so you can actually use a fraction of a second too as a timeout if you're having a really fast network, I mean conditions here. And the connect phase, then what is a connection? I mean, that is then everything that is going on until we kind of have an internal state that says connected to the server, which then means that, for example, DNS resolving is of course done first, so that is kind of included then in the connection time of the connect timeout. So if there's a very slow DNS, that would also kind of add to the connect time. So that could be a reason why it would time out at times, especially if you have a really small timeout. Useful stuff to know. There's a lot of different timeout options in general in curl. So if you're if you think things take too long, or you don't want to allow curl to take too long to do certain things, there are several different options to consider. This connect timeout is one. Then there's the max time option, which then limits the entire operation. You only allow this transfer to take 10 minutes, never more. Then it'll just chop it if it's still going on after 10 minutes. Then we also have options for setting like a transfer speed limit. So if it goes below this threshold for this amount of time, cut it. So basically, if your transfer gets really, really slow or just stalls at some point, you can tell curl to abort if that happens. Just different ways to make your scripts or whatever handle that the network situation isn't ideal always. So you pick and choose what you need. If you're using libcurl, you can also set up pretty much your own ways of doing timeouts, since there's a bunch of callbacks that you can use to monitor the transfer and then just return a failure whenever you think it's time to bail out. Or yeah, if you're using libcurl, you're also when you're using the multi-interface, you're adding kind of easy handles to you're adding transfer to handles to kind of the main transfer loop, and then you can always withdraw a transfer at any point in time. So then using that you can decide exactly how or when you want to give up a transfer, be it a timeout or whatever other condition. The bug of the week, or the mention of the week, I thought it was fun. I regularly kind of monitor Stack Overflow for curl and libcurl questions, so I answer some of them, or I comment some of them, or I ignore some of them because they're too infectious to touch. But anyway, this week I found this excellent bug, or problem at least. There's a link here. It's a guy who posts about a problem or a question. How is this supposed to work really? And he mentions that he's using curl 7.9.2, which I thought was kind of amusing, because that is over 13 years old, and in those 13 years since 7.9.2 was released, we've done 86 releases, and we've actually logged 2,515 bug fixes. Kind of interesting. And of course, that kind of an old version, it also has a number of security problems and so on. So I do urge anyone using such an old version to upgrade to a later one. But I find it also a bit heartening and thrilling that people are actually still using that old versions, and they keep working for these users. So well, I'm happy for that. That was fun. Another fun thing is that I did a little extra run through and added companies to my companies using curl page, which I basically only use to just brag and show other users, or rather I'm showing off commercial users of curl just to kind of show other commercial users that is fine, and I use it to just show and for ego boost reasons and all that. But anyway, I was updating that, and I was asking around on Twitter for people, if you have if you know a company using curl that isn't mentioned already, please tell me, and preferably than well-known companies or big companies or whatever, because it makes the list funnier. Anyway, so I got this mention. I don't remember from who anymore, and that is of course rather rude of me. But anyway, it was mentioned to me that I have a mention, and libcurl is actually mentioned in the ending credits to the game GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 GTA. My kids only know it as GTA. But in Swedish. So after 44 minutes of rolling credits, there's a mention of libcurl and my name and the license actually. 44 minutes. No, I didn't watch the whole thing, but the guy who tipped me off actually was friendly enough to say that after about 44:30 you were mentioned. Fun! Anyway, and then I found out, I think, about 30-40 new companies, so now the list is about 250 companies. Well, of course, I'm perfectly aware that there are many more companies using curling in commercial stuff, but I mean, that's a fun list. That is what I wanted to say this week. I'm going to continue doing H2 stuff in curl. I got a bug report about the multiplexing, so I'll see. I think if I just get more users using all this that I've been blogging about, the multiplexing, upload, download, and push, I'm sure that I will get some bug reports, and I'll get reason to polish things. So I'm happy about that. And I'm going to add APIs for setting things like priority and dependencies between streams also while doing multiplex transfers. When I've done that, I think I'm kind of closing into being fairly feature complete, supporting most of H2's, most of what the H2 spec actually has. Then I'm going to work on adding tests to the test suite, and that'll be kind of a big job too. I haven't really decided exactly how to do it. I think I'm going to start out with using this ngHPD server in the test suite, but ideally I need my own server so that I can kind of tell the server to act really weirdly or badly to test how we react when we work with stupid servers or wrong servers and things like that. That's about it for this week. There's a FOSS Stockholm meetup tomorrow. FOSS Stockholm, what's the number? 16 at Spotify offices. I'm going to talk about HTTP2 in curl, I think. I haven't really made any slides or anything yet, so I'm kind of behind on that, but I think I'll keep it short. I'll basically describe what I've been working on the recent weeks and trying to, I'll see. Hopefully I get some questions. I tend to talk too much anyway on these occasions, so I better just try to keep it short, and then I can just go by ear. Okay, that's it for this week. Yes, I managed to keep it slightly shorter. See you next week. Bye!